Now, Vicky, you give Bryan a 9.5 for his turkey gobble. Well, I'm not sure where the other half a mark would come from, but thank you for that. And Lucy in South Bend, you say he sounds exactly like a turkey. He mercifully does not look like a turkey. Bryan, I really enjoy these swallows, and I think they're sitting like this just before they mass. They're about to leave. They're about to head back to Jeandre in Belgium, not Belgium, in the Netherlands, and of the Luberon Valley in the south of France. Soon they will be heading that way. 32 days, 8,500 kilometers. That's quite a distance for a little bird like that to cover. Isn't that amazing? That's the barn swallow, everyone. Anna Marie, you saw some robins today, a male and a female, and you say that's your first sign of spring. Well, that's good. I would have thought it's quite early. But yes, the robins have clearly sensed change. Bryan also does a number of other interesting vocal impressions, the most impressive of which I think is the impression of Popeye the Sailor Man. Bryan, would you like to do Popeye the Sailor Man?
Olive, Olive.
That barn swallow doesn't seem to mind. So as I was saying yesterday, about the barn swallow, of course, 32 days migration, 8,500 kilometers, which is miles. As you divide that by 1.6, and you'll get the number of miles. So roughly, probably about 6,000, 5,500 miles. And I've just got to get that out of my head now. We've had a pretty rough season, okay, not much water. We definitely have far fewer insects than normal, which means that the fat layer, or the fat deposit that those swallows are able to have laid on for their big migration, I think is going to be less. And therefore, I think fewer of the swallows are going to make the long trip. So that's a little bit sad. It's completely normal, completely within the realms of our sort of functioning biosphere of the Earth, but I do think that fewer of them are going to make it back to breed this year. And they don't sit like that normally. Normally in the middle of summer, they'll be flying around, they'll be in a group. They won't, that kind of sitting behavior where they sit and stare longingly to the north is an indicator that they're about to leave. It's so interesting to watch. Something clicks over in their physiology, and they just know it's time to move. Now, there's a clearing ahead here where there are some mongoose quite often. One nice thing about Wendy, of course, apart from her fairly recalcitrant manner, is that she has some much softer suspension than the other two. A lot more comfortable driving her. Lots of elephant activity around last night. Much done. Much in the way of footprints, tracks. Bryan, there must be a dwarf mongoose here somewhere, surely. Or a leopard. I'll take a leopard. There is a kudu. Seems to be grazing, which is an odd thing for a browser to do. He's a magnificent bull, that. I think I heard a mongoose. No, it's not. It's a bird. Interesting. Maggie, you've asked an interesting question about, we had that little discussion about carnivores and herbivores and who lives longer, and the implication there, of course, was that it was the diet. Maggie, and you saying, is it not more the size? I think it's probably a bit of both, but a leopard, for example, which can live, in theory, to about 16 years. Well, I mean, I suppose it's the same length of time that a buffalo would live. I think in captivity, a buffalo might live a little bit longer. I think also, quite apart from the diet, which of course they've all adapted to eat, I think what you'll find is that the toll of life, being a carnivore, is a lot harder. Hunting and defending territory the way that a carnivore does, because I think it's, you know, I mean, the reason there's so many fewer carnivores than there are herbivores, of course, is that it's a lot more difficult to live like that. Now, if you live as a lion and you're defending territory consistently and you are basically, I mean, to hunt something, if you're a lioness, to take down a zebra is a major physical strain. And I think that you'll find that even though they live the same, potentially have the same lifespan as something like a buffalo, they will generally live less time because the strain taken by the body is that much more. So I think in captivity, where a leopard can live for up to 20 years in captivity, and what equivalent size herbivore would be an impala, I suppose. An impala, I think, would probably potentially live that long in captivity as well. So without the sort of strains that they take, I don't think it's a diet-related issue. I'm not sure it's a size-related issue either. I think it is largely to do with the stresses and strains of being a carnivore rather than a herbivore. Very nice query, that. It's a very nice thing to think about. I'm not sure that I've quite nailed down the answer yet. We're getting a bit late for the mongoose now. I think many of them are going to be out of their dens already. But were we to see a leopard, I would happily sacrifice the mongoose GoPro activities. Interesting, Cindy, you say, is it possible that the dry season here may lead us into a wetter dry season? So we've had a drought, might we have a wetter winter than we would normally? See, Cindy, it's possible, but it wouldn't be one as a result of the other. So, I mean, because we've had a drought, a very dry, wet, rainy season, it wouldn't follow necessarily that we would have a wetter, the dry seasons. It's possible that it could happen, but one wouldn't follow the other. Oh, hello, Beefy. Look at that big buffalo. Yes, you're very, very cross. And running off and trotting off into the bush. I've often thought to myself that I'd like to introduce a matador to one of these things. There's people who still think it's acceptable to be stabbing bulls. To introduce them to an African buffalo and see how they like that. That one, of course, is having his nose picked by an oxpecker, which is a lovely thing to do in the morning. It's like a sort of spa treatment, I suppose. Clean out the nose, get the ticks out of the nose. That oxpecker nearly landed on Bryan's head. Right, it decided better of it and has settled on the buffalo. Now, while we are sitting here listening for mongoose alarm calling, I'm going to send you across to Scott, who is sitting at the moisture and verdant lands of Buffelshoek Dam.
Well, welcome to the Buffalo's Hook Waterhole. As you can see, the woodlands kingfishers are keeping us entertained here. They, I think, are having their morning bath. There's a very, very vague chance. There goes another one. Well done, Jeandre. Oops. So, great work there, Jeandre, on camera. Not an easy thing following these woodlands kingfishers as they have their morning bath. There's 3 of them perched up in those bushes. You can just probably see 3 a little bit more to the right. You'll get the 3rd one in as well, Jeandre. There we go. And they're all having their morning bath time. These are kingfishers that actually don't rely on fishing for food. They catch insects for their prey, not frogs or fish as their name suggests, so that can be a little bit misleading. The woodlands kingfishers are coming from literally all angles. There must be at least 7 or 8 that are doing their rounds here. And here's one's landed right up in the tree next to us. That's awesome. Now what we could expect to see is some of their displaying where they, as they land on the branch after their flight, they'll hold their wings up high into the air, displaying their beautiful bright turquoise backs. So that's something that I'm hoping we're going to see. The birds are going ballistic here, and what I'm going to suggest is we just keep quiet for 30 seconds or so and listen to the morning bird song. Jeandre, at the top of this tree over here, there's a rare individual called an African pied wagtail. This is a bird that we may not have shown you many times before. Like I said, it's the African pied wagtail. If and when it walks along the water's edge, it will be wagging its tail wildly, hence its name. Oh, Jeandre, at about 1 o'clock, there was some action unfolding. There it goes, a predatory bird from right flying to... There we go, great work. I'm not too sure what it is, but it's a little raptor, possibly a gabar goshawk or something along those lines, maybe a lizard buzzard. Awesome, awesome stuff. What a beautiful day it is, and you can certainly tell by the birds that they are enjoying the sunshine. Good news, we have got a slow motion clip that the girls in FC have prepared for you of the woodlands kingfisher plummeting into the water, so take a closer look and enjoy. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm not sure if it was necessarily this individual that you saw, as there are many woodlands kingfishers that have come here for a bath. There's another little kingfisher that I'm keeping my eye out for called a malachite kingfisher. They are tiny, so easy to overlook, but have got awesome, awesome coloration on them. Oranges, dark blues, considerably different to the woodlands kingfishers that we've been taking a look at now. Wonderful. Well, it seems like the chaos has calmed down, so let's continue on. I want to keep checking our northern boundary and keep slowly making our way towards the hyena den. As we go through this little dip, we may lose picture temporarily, but don't go anywhere. It'll pop back up shortly afterwards, so hold tight as we go through this little dip. Still there? Good, it should be clearing up now. Okay. Beard, you'd like to know if we see any ostrich here in the Sabi Sands, and not very often, no, but it is possible to see ostrich here. In the Manyeleti Reserve, which is just north of us, not far at all, they've got a lot more open grasslands and plains, and there ostrich sightings are common. But even very close by, now I'm talking, that's 10 miles away, you'll start seeing ostriches very commonly. Whereas where we are here, it's just the wrong habitat. It's a bit too thick for them. So that's why we very seldomly see them. I think James has seen one giraffe, and myself, ostrich rather, and Brent. We've all seen, I think, the same ostrich that moved through the Sabi Sands when we were all working to the south of where we are now. So we've all agreed and worked out that it was all in a very similar time frame. It was a female ostrich. So we're guessing the one and only time we have all seen one was probably the same individual making her way through the area. They are fascinating birds, ostriches, Mr. Arbeard in Colorado. Quite scary, actually. I find them quite scary. I don't know what it is about them. Another bird that we don't have occurring here, or that I don't actually I've never actually heard of, is a flicker. Oh, Sandy in Oregon, you were wondering whether we get them here, or a little duiker. Oh, we can see you. You can run, but you cannot hide. Look at its little tail waggling. Well, you have a good day. Seems like nothing's gonna get in your way this morning, Mr. Duiker. And enjoy nibbling on those fresh green shoots. That's a fully grown adult male, and it's probably only about knee high. So Sandy, obviously a flicker is a bird that's similar to a woodpecker, because you've acknowledged that we do get the woodpeckers here. But no, I've never heard of a flicker, and we do not get them here. But what we do get is hornbills, one of my favorites, and this one is perching itself perfectly in the bright morning sunshine. Huh? I think we're looking at different ones, Jeandre. There's another one higher, right up there. Yeah. Sorry. There we go. Look at that bright pink pouch below its beak there. Hello. Hello. I love chatting a little bit of hornbill. What are we saying to one another? I don't know. But it's fun. There are such characters, the hornbills, and these are some really wonderful views. Perfect morning sunshine, bright blue sky in the background. It's sitting in a silver cluster leaf tree, and you'll pick up that kind of silvery tinge. Now, if it gets really worked up, it's going to start holding its wings up. I think it may go for it. Oh, no. Come on. Put your wings up. There They're kind of just building up to a crescendo here slowly. It just appears that there's one feather out of place that needs to be repositioned before the main show. Ah, it's a happy couple getting ready for the day. Come on, come on. Come on, give us the full show. They're thinking about it. They'll hold their wings high up above their head once they get into full swing. One more try. You've got one more chance, guys. Come on. Perfect. You took your last opportunity, and we thank you for that. How awesome was that? Hey, that was just too good to be true. Maybe one more time. Here goes. Thank you, hornbills. That was awesome. Let's maybe just see. I think they might do one more. They seem to be in full swing now. Here they go. Legends. Thank you, little birds. We're going to leave you to it and continue making our way towards the hyena den. Perfect timing. Off you go. And we will be sending you guys off to some Impala with James.
That is me making the sound of a mongoose. Well, a poor sound of a mongoose, attempting to coax them out of what used to be, or possibly still is, a burrow for them in this particular part of quarantine clearings. Those obviously are not mongoose. Mongoose are not antelope with horns on them. They are small carnivores. Those are two nyala, two youngish male nyala, just about in the prime of their lives. One on the left, younger than the one on the right. And they are just walking through this clearing, trying to find something delicious to eat. Now, they are browsing antelope. And so what they're looking for largely will be forbs. Now, a forb is the kind of nondescript term for any kind of herbaceous plant that isn't a grass. So it would be kind of an unidentified flower or an unidentified herb growing on the ground. So although they look like they're grazing sometimes, they're normally going for what we'd call a forb. But most importantly, there are no mongoose here. You can hear the subtle dawn chorus, the ubiquitous woodland kingfisher. Lots going on in the background. Greater blue-eared glossy starling, an oriole. Scott reckons that the mongoose should only be getting up now. They're still sleeping. Bryan kind of tends to agree, don't you, Bryan? And certainly, I mean, that one time that Bryan and I went on a walk and we got to within 2.5 meters of them, that was much later on in the morning, wasn't it?
No.
So maybe they're just very lazy. Jeandre, you say when I make that mongoose attracting sound, it sounds like I'm kissing myself in the mirror. I have nothing to say to that, Jeandre. But thank you for warning me of it. What I shall do is make sure that Bryan puts the camera on me so that you will know that I am not kissing myself on the wrist, for example, like a practicing teenage girl. Jeandre, I'm not going to be too shy to ever say it again. Here are the guinea fowl again. Let's just stop here. Brenda, you're in Virginia, and you say that the guinea fowl, there are domesticated guinea fowl in the US. That's very interesting. I knew that, I think they're bred for food there, aren't they? That guinea fowl has got fresh elephant poop all over its face. So really pleased that I don't have to do that to get a meal in the morning. Elephant dung, if it's ripened to the right age, say about 2 weeks, is really pleasant smelling, but at its current form, no, not nice. It's a really nice shot of a guinea fowl. Caught in the early morning light. I'm still searching the clearing here for sign of dwarf mongoose. Gorgeous morning. A couple of birch or starlings calling off to the side. A very cross Franklin. No leopards at this stage. All right, let's drive along. Hello, Barb in Canada. Barbara, that Google Maps, you want to know if you can get hold of a map here so that you can follow along on the game drive. Barb, the best thing to do is just to go to Google Maps. The roads of Djuma are largely labeled there. So you can just put in Djuma Private Game Reserve on Google Maps, zoom in there, and you can see exactly where we are and what we're doing. I'm not sure the roads on Arathusa are. In fact, I don't think they are, but they certainly are for Djuma and for Cheetah Plains. Bryan, where are the mongoose? That's interesting. Lois, you said that guinea fowl are sometimes used as a watchfowl in the US. A watchfowl, of course, being something that you might use a goose for, like a watchdog. I didn't know that. That's interesting. I suppose they are very good at alarm calling. A watchfowl. That's interesting. In Siberia, Zumi, you say your father used to keep some guinea fowl, 2 guinea fowl, and what they used to do is keep the tick population down. That's interesting. I wonder who decided. I mean, there must be similar kind of evolutionary equivalents in the US. I suppose a turkey, really. Isn't a turkey a naturally occurring bird in the continental US? Bryan, that was your cue. There we go. Apparently they are used like a goose. Thank you for that, everybody. Now, Kimber, like Simba, but with a K, Kimber, You want to know what those elephants are looking for in the guinea fowl dung. What the guinea fowl are looking for in the elephant dung, they are looking for invertebrates. So any kind of termite, or a fly larvae, or the larvae of a beetle, or even a beetle itself that may have landed on the dung, that will then be eaten by the guinea fowl. They're not eating, I suppose they might also eat some fresh seeds if they found some seeds there, but it would be largely the insects. I'm just hearing something up ahead there. It's an alarm-calling squirrel sitting right here. Now, a squirrel is normally a great liar. Just looking behind us. And they don't shout at human beings normally. It's quite sweet though, isn't it? What are you shouting at, rodent? Where's the mongoose? Ah, not here. I see. Traumatic. Yes, I know. Must have been difficult for you. But you are going on a bit now. Okay, let's head back across to Scott. He's got some hornbills. I'm going to give the squirrel a talking to and then find some mongoose. Shut up.
Well, we are also searching desperately for any sign of these dwarf mongooses. And a good place to check is on top of termite mounds. And we found some more yellow-billed hornbills. These ones are feeding on the termites. And it's a perfect combo deal because there's not only delicious breakfast on this ginormous termite mound, but there's also a nice warm column of air coming up out of that little chimney where the hornbill's feeding. Obviously we can't see that, but I can guarantee you there's the hornbill's mate, come back. I can guarantee you there's a very, very warm air rising up out of that hole. And it's still quite a crisp morning, so the hornbill's going to be enjoying a warm spot to have a plentiful breakfast. Well, James Richards, I couldn't agree with you more. The sighting we shared earlier with the hornbills was one of the best that I've managed to have with you guys, so very happy that that worked out. And wasn't it wonderful that we got to see them kind of from start to finish building up that crescendo, or to that crescendo? And it is marvelous that the way they synchronize their little dance move. We're going to leave them be because a few moments before you joined us, I did share some hyena audio nearby, and we are quite close to the hyena den. So let's keep going. Happy that Marilyn in Montana has got the pied wagtail to add to her bird list now, so that's some good news. And Lucy in South Bend, Indiana, you are hoping that I'll be able to find you at least one more bird before I head off to add to your very comprehensive list of 182 birds. And I will certainly be trying my best to do that. Who knows, maybe we will get the ostrich giving us a special visit. That would be a wonderful bird to show you guys. They are bizarre, like I was saying earlier. There's something about them that actually scares me. Those long legs and long neck, big beady eye. Strange beasts, the old ostrich. Okay, so we're on Aubrey's Road now, and the hyena den is not too far away. Ben in Leesburg. You would like to know if I've got any thoughts as to why it is that hyena have evolved into a matriarchal society, a female-dominated society, whereas most other mammals will be the complete opposite. It'll be the men that are the biggest and the most dominant. I can't for the life of me work that one out, Ben. There may be many different theories that people have on that topic, but I don't think anyone will be able to answer those questions. What would have caused those evolutionary changes to be so different to the rest of the mammalian race is hard to understand, you know. Maybe a small ecological niche caused that at the time, but I certainly don't have any solid reasons as to why that is the case. I guess you could ask yourself the same question with zebra. I mean, why is it that zebra have become black and white? I mean, what purpose does it serve? There's no other animals in Africa that have gone that route, yet they have. Okay. Let's see. One hyena from where we are here. Morning. How are you? And there is another one, I think, possibly moving around further off on the other side of the mound. I can just see a brief glimpse of its ear. There you go. There it goes. So we may not be on the best side of the mound to see the action, but at least there are a few individuals here. There's a herd of impala on the other side of this mound. That's what the hyena's got its ears pricked up for, and its head is looking in that direction. And the impala even letting off the odd very soft alarm call. Obviously a little bit perturbed by the hyena here. This is a youngster. I'm not too sure which one it is, but it is a young individual. You can see it's in very good condition. That's one sign. It's very fluffy and furry, and it's got very dark spots. So those features all lead up to it being young. Let's see if we can't move around onto the other side of the mound. And if we don't have too much luck here, and if it's not looking active, then we will, or highly active, then we will continue on the search for the dwarf mongooses. Hello, Lady Luga. You would like to know exactly how... Oh, let's just get a glimpse of this, Jeandre. What happened to your foot? Eh? And who are you? Is it just a thorn in there? It could just be that it's got a thorn in its pad. You can see now it's trying to walk on it, but not having much luck. There's also a zebra just off across here. It's a lot of general game grazing about the hyena den. Let's see if we can't reposition around a little bit. Lady Luca, you'd like to know a little bit more about Aubrey's Road and how Aubrey, the guide here, would have had an impact in building the road or possibly designing or choosing where it runs. That's probably the case. I'm actually not sure whether it was just named after him or whether he actually helped design it. I'm not too sure. I think it could be that it was simply named after him. What is going on? Why has the one hyena gone running off now? This other one also showing interest. Have they heard something that's worth running off to? Just the other day, they ran off from the den and all got involved in a tussle with some wild dog. Some of you would have been lucky enough to be there with James when that happened. But something's going on. It's literally moving on exactly the same trail that that other hyena was moving along. And it's fascinating how strong their sense of smell is. I mean, there's going to be a lot of hyena scent going up and down, backwards and forwards through this area. But he or she can work out exactly which one is freshest. Now, this one's taking a wide berth of those zebra. Zebra can be quite fierce, considering they are herbivores, and they will chase a lot of the smaller predators, like hyena, jackal, sometimes even leopard. So that hyena made the right move, and that's it. That's the hyena den site, inactive in a few moments. So I'm glad we arrived when we did. Siberia Zumi, you've mentioned that meerkats also live in a matriarchal society where the females run the show. I didn't know that. Bryan would be a good guy to actually chat about with meerkats. He spent a long time filming them for WildEarth many years ago. I'm not actually sure exactly what they did there, but they were doing some filming of meerkats. And that will be interesting if that is the case. So thank you, Siberia Zumi, for shedding light on that. Come on, mongooses. Well, there have been a lot of cute animals around this summer, but one of my favorite are the kudu, and James has found some, so you're in luck.
Look at the beautiful color there of the backlit golden foliage of the Cambritum woodland framing two little kudu. Now, the interesting thing there is that they are babies. They look to be almost exactly the same size. And we did see one female, one cow, running through here, and I wonder if they aren't perhaps twins. It does happen from time to time out here. It is very unusual, especially with the precocial animals like the antelope, which are born sort of fully formed and ready to run. It is very unusual. But but it is possible. And I only saw one female here. I can still just see her wandering through the woods. You won't be able to see her at this stage. But isn't that interesting? And they will stand dead still because they don't really know if we can see them or not, and they're listening desperately with those ears. I do sometimes wish I had ears like that. It would help me to find animals and, listen to music more accurately. I suppose I would look a bit odd. Oh, no. I can't believe this. Scott has found a mongoose dead site. That was my link, Nikki. You can go across to him now. Bryan, we have...
Okay, we've found the dwarf mongooses and a large termite mound. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop off and get my little camera into a good spot. I'm not sure where to put it, but we'll work it out. I'm just going to take a little kind of reusable cable here, cable tie kind of thing, in case I need to strap the camera down onto something. And what I'm going to also do is I'm going to leave my cell phone up here that will give you a preview of the picture, so Jeandre can help me confirm that I've put it in the right spot. Here goes. Sorry, mongooses, we're just going to temporarily interfere with your morning. This is them alarm calling. Chippa-chippa-choo. Chippa-chippa-choo. And I think what we should do... Don't worry, I come in peace. I come in peace. Chippa-chippa-choo. And I'm just going to put the little camera probably right down here. Just like that. That should get some decent views. How's that looking on the camera, Jeandre?
Oh, not too bad.
Decent. Hey, hard with the glare.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Maybe tilt it up a bit.
Cool. There's a bit of a delay. Tilt it up.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So, we're in luck. Now we have to sit and patiently wait. I'm sure it won't take them too long to poke their head back out of that little hole. Yay. There it is. It's already poked its head out. And we just want to try and get to understand these animals a little bit better and what we can do with them regarding filming. I think it's going to maybe go right up to this little camera to investigate it, just to make sure it's not a threat. Morning. Don't worry, it's a friendly visitor. You can go up to it, though, if you want. You may become famous. You may become the most well-known dwarf mongoose on the whole planet. This is your opportunity. It's certainly not too sure what to think of it, but it's giving it a once-over. And what you may find is it may call for some reinforcements to come and investigate that little strange device further. I was really surprised at the fact of when I was making my way out there. Oh, there's another one that just popped up over there. When I was making my way out there, it really was very kind of relaxed with my presence. It was still keeping an eye on me when I was about 1.5 meters away from that little entrance hole. So, you live a leisurely life. You only get up about an hour after sunrise, hey? Not bad. Jeandre, oh, look at that. That one's standing on its back legs, which is a pose typical of meerkats. Oh, check Jeandre by the camera. We've got another one investigating. It kind of popped in from the right of the screen. It's further to the right now. Here it comes. Morning. Go and have a closer look. Hello, Mac Weezer. You'd like to know if the plural of mongoose is mongoose. And some will say yes and others will say no. I certainly say mongoose, but I think technically you are supposed to say mongooses. But like I said, there'll be varying opinions on that. I wonder how many how many dwarf mongooses are living in this mound. There's technically supposed to be an alpha pair, dominant pair of male and female that rule the roost here, and the rest all help out. Which one's which, obviously, is very difficult to tell, and how big this actual troop is also very tricky to tell. I'm very happy that we found them, and now we can watch them as they take a very, very leisurely start to the morning. A few of them, like this one, being sentries, making sure there's no threats. I'm sure they're going to head off and start foraging in and around this area soon. Hello to Boyd in North Carolina. You would like to know exactly what will they be foraging for when they do head off. Mainly small insects, but any very small mammals, reptiles, snakes, anything really that they can overpower. Even little baby birds they would feed on. But it's mainly small insects that I've seen in my time. Then again, it would be... Oh, there's another one poking its hole out looking at the camera. That's just what we want. Perfect. You can come closer to investigate. Now, that little camera is not going to be providing you a very close-up view, even though from that distance, the mongoose is probably about a foot away. It's going to be quite far. It's a very wide angle on that little camera. Sadly, there's no preview available while I'm filming. So I've been filming for 5 minutes now, and I just want to keep the film running rather than stopping it and missing anything that may happen quickly. So I'm not too sure exactly how good the visuals are of the little mongooses, but their response to us is great. They've come out within a minute of us disturbing them as they went back into their hiding places. And that's something that can happen very commonly for them, so I don't think it's a huge disturbance to their day, no different to if a bird of prey flew over. Let's take a look on the left here, Jeandre. That sentry's not doing too much, but there's a few ferreting about in the grass here. Let's try and work out what they're up to. There was about 2 or 3 there. Maybe they are little youngsters, and sure, they disappear very quickly into that long grass. Now, the awesome thing about this time of the year is that there are lots of young dwarf mongooses around. And Michelle, you've just asked about a dwarf mongoose den that's near the Djuma Pan and whether there are some youngsters there. Yes, there's kind of medium-sized youngsters all over at the moment. All of the mongooses are kind of breeding at the same time, so you find all of them, the youngsters are about half the size of the adults at the moment. And there are den sites all over Djuma. And not only will dwarf mongooses won't only have one kind of den site, they'll have multiple den sites that they can sleep in every night. So they might spend one in one, another night in another. They'll move more frequently between their various dens. than animals like hyena, for example. So even though they may have one den there, it's not necessarily going to be the one that they use all the time. Oh, we've got another visitor coming in. I think at some point one's going to go very close up to that little camera. Maybe this is the brave individual. Thinking about it, but not entirely happy with whatever this strange new beast is. I'm told that in this part of the world, Michelle, they've got about a 1 hectare range. Oh, this is going to be good. Come on. There we go. There we go. Morning. Oh. Oh, Luke the Duke. I love the way you're thinking. You want the mongoose to grab onto the camera and take it down into its burrows for an internal tour. And wouldn't that be absolutely fascinating if we could get a spy, a mongoose spy that could take us in and show us what exactly goes on within this termite mound. We would need to give it a little head torch, though, to illuminate the tunnels, but it certainly is a wonderful way of thinking. Maybe one of those endoscopes with like a long cord could be fed in and you could get a better idea of what is happening in all the various chambers. Oh, well, there's good news. And that is that James has found another troop of mongooses, and he's busy setting up or getting ready to set up his little camera there. So we will send you across to make sure you don't miss out on any of that action. Have fun.
Hello, everybody. We found a mongoose nest. Well, I mean, I'd love to say we found it. Actually, we drove past a game drive that was viewing this mongoose burrow, but there's a mongoose in there. We had to chase him back in there because we thought he was going to abscond. Now, you're just here in time for me to direct him. I've cleaned the lens. I'm going to push go.
You checked your settings?
Well, I only have one setting, on and off.
Good job.
Yes. Now, we're going to sit here and we're actually going to call him out. Bryan, make the noise. We might be filming a great deal of not a lot. Oh well, it might be quite interesting to see. I'm not sure how long that battery will last. And we only saw one there, but I can hear others calling. Of course, what you'll probably find is that there are 3 or 4 entrances to this den, and they will go out, all of them, except the one with the camera in front of it. Oh, right. Scott is with the active mongoose nest. Let's go across there. Obviously, he is.
Okay, Jeandre, there's some coming down to the camera. Sorry, there's action happening everywhere here. They're coming up from that kind of grassy little pathway. That should do it. I think it's just hidden in a little ravine. But there was a group of 2 or 3, and I think they're kind of 3 teenagers that are a bit of a get-along gang that looked like at one stage they were heading back towards the camera, but I think now they've scurried off. Jeandre has found another one. That one's quite high up on the top. Oh, there's one's popped out in front of the camera again, but it just poked its head back in the hole. Well done, Jeandre. And isn't this fun doing something a little bit different, getting to know what's happening with this colony? There's some individuals, I'm sorry to throw you all over the show, Jeandre, but the musketeers are busy making their way further and further afield. They are obviously hungry. Oh, and here, Jeandre, if you zoom out of it, there's one kind of out in the open just in front of the bull bar. I don't know if you'll angle. There it goes. Our first individual has crossed the road. So it looks like now they are feeling comfortable and safe and are deciding that it's time to head off. I think there's another one that's about to follow suit there, Jeandre. If you just wait somewhere around here. There we go. Ding, 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 ding. So, two have made their way out from the den. Looks like a third is going to follow now along that same pathway. There you can just see a glimpse of it. Well done, Jeandre. And this is number 3. I think these are the 3 musketeers. There's 3 of them that have been kind of playing about together. Too close. The car got in the way. But again, a good sign that they are comfortable with us. Okay, now that's awesome. We've managed to establish that 3 members of this troop have moved east in search of breakfast. Now what's going to be fascinating to work out is maybe how many more are going to slowly come out of here. Are there some that are still sleeping, taking it easy, tending to young? Who knows? But those 3, I've got a feeling, and I could be completely wrong, but like I said, I think those are the teenagers that are like, we big enough to do what we like. We'll stay in earshot of the den in case mom or dad shouts at us and we need to come back. But I'm confident that there are still quite a few more members within this termitarium. Time will tell. Shame James isn't having much luck his side. I hope that changes. But if they have, I'm fairly certain it will. They're going to have to come out of the termite mound at some stage. It's just whether or not it's in a reasonable hour. Okay. I'm gonna do something here now because there's quite a few mongooses running out, and I'm just gonna jump out quickly. There's another one that's about to cross the road, and I want to reposition the GoPro in a spot where I'm hoping we can get them coming out of their new spots. So hold on a second. Just gonna try to find their hole that they're all emerging from. I think it's around here somewhere. Here it is. Okay. So I repositioned it into the next burrow, and we're going to just move the vehicle ever so slightly forward so we can keep you guys in the loop as to what's what. I've unplugged all of my comms to the outside world. Hold on a second. Now, I'm guessing what's going to happen, why I did this little stunt now quickly, is because I'm confident that they're going to keep following the rest of the mongoose. There's mongooses that are already headed out. So we're just going to get onto that next pathway. There is a hole directly in front of where the camera's nestled in the grass there, and I'm sure one will pop out of there soon, I'm hoping. Oh no, I picked the wrong hole. Jeandre, further to the right of the camera, not too far, I think just there. Yeah, there was one poking its head out of a hole over there. So it's a lottery. You need 1 million of these little cameras to plonk in front of every single hole that they can exit out of, I guess. If Jeandre just stays there, though, I'm sure the head will poke out shortly. Okay, well, it may take a little bit of time before they pluck up courage to poke their heads out any further. And while we wait for them to do that, we're going to send you back to James for an update on how he's getting along over there.
I gave up, everybody. I decided that that den was A, not very picturesque, and B, that mongoose may have been alone with perhaps one other friend. And I decided to gamble on the chances of getting a slightly better den. It may have been a gamble not worth taking. Interesting question from James. Richard, you want to know or you wonder where the name mongoose originates? I don't know what the etymology of the word mongoose is, I'm afraid. I think it's quite interesting. I'm going to guess that it's got what's the word? A Sanskrit base, maybe. I don't know why I think that. A Sanskrit or kind of Hindi, Indian base, maybe. But James, I couldn't actually tell you vaguely even. We're going to go towards Treehouse Dam. There were some reports of elephants there, or sort of heading towards there. We're not too far from that area. Obviously, if we see a dwarf mongoose nest, all other plans will fly out the window. Oh, there they are. It was a bit of an evil laugh, I feel. Now, fellows, what I'm going to do is get out of the car and come and place a camera close to you. Now, please don't go too far. You may go back inside, but then you will have to return. No, 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 no. No, no, no. No, no, no. No, 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 no. That's it. Hello. 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 I can hear a number of others calling over there. This is astonishing. Normally they will at least make an attempt to come out and say hello. Bryan, maybe you give it a try? Catherine, you say you watch because the entertainment of watching grown men making kissing sounds at a mongoose is just too wonderful. Well, Catherine, we do like to cater to all tastes, so I'm glad that is amusing to you. Just going to reverse slightly, and then we're probably going to just leave this camera here. Lynn, you want to... Ooh, that looks like a puncture right there. Lynn, you say that you wish you could see our faces when we were making that noise. Then there's a very good reason that you don't see our faces, and that's because it would just be embarrassing. Slightly flat tire there. I'm not sure it's going to survive the drive. Now, Gilly, you reckon that GoPro might look like a long-legged predatory bird, and maybe that's why the mongoose don't come. I don't think they're that gormless. I think they know that that's inanimate. Well, maybe it's frightening them. We were speaking about thrushes earlier, and I can hear a ground scraper thrush. There, that tick tick. Brrr. Right, I tell you what, let's just go down. Let's go down to Treehouse Dam, have a look at what's going on there. Maybe change the tire, and we'll come back. Because I think if we sit here all day waiting for my mongoose to do something useful, please come out. Safari Dean, nice question. Will mongoose scavenge on dead animals? Safari Dean, no, not really. It's actually, it's not a ground scraper thrush. It's just a stickler. Safari Dean, no, they won't. I mean, diet of insects largely, small reptiles and eggs. I don't think that they would scavenge on. I mean, they might eat a dead beetle if they found it. So I mean, that might be described as scavenging, I suppose. There's some giraffe, Bryan. Deep in the bushes. Obviously. A very thick bush there, I'm afraid. That's not a wonderful picture. Anyway, they are in there. Nicholas says you can see its bum. Yes. And flicking fly swatter tail, very important part of a giraffe's anatomy. I feel like we've had better giraffe sightings, Bryan.
Me too.
Yeah. There's another one.
Beautiful.
Really stunning stuff there. We should probably submit these shots for an award. Here looks like a bull. And he's walking around with another there are another 3 or 4 in there. The largest group I've seen here was about 20. That's quite a lot. That isn't that group. All right, let's go to the water, see if the elephants are there, and then we'll come back and see if we can retrieve my GoPro, which will no doubt by then have the mongoose equivalent of Casablanca on its hard drive. Safari Dean, we're still going on about, we're still chatting about scavenging mongoose. Will they scavenge on big animals? No, they won't. They won't scavenge on big animals. I think that they would be out of their comfort zone trying to do that. I certainly haven't heard of them doing it. So no, I don't think they would. I mean, just about all the big animals here would be scavenged off by much larger scavengers. And I think if you're going to be a scavenger, you have to have a certain kind of physiology that can cope with the bacteria and that sort of thing of rotting meat. Now, while I've no doubt that a mongoose's constitution is probably stronger than ours, I wouldn't say it's anything like a hyena or a lion's or a leopard's. There they are. Yeah, a little bit further forward. Oh, and there's some babies. What a pity we don't have my camera with me. Oh, look, the light is perfect. Ah, gosh, this is horrendous. So, AC, we just want to see if we can't get some kind of a reaction from them if they come up and if they stick their faces in the lens. There was a lovely video shot the other day at a place called Mala Mala, where 1 or 2 mongoose came up and just kind of interacted with the camera. It was quite amusing. Just a GoPro camera like that was left there at the base. And it was quite funny. So we just wanted to see if we could get something similar. I'm sorely tempted to go and retrieve my GoPro, but I'm not going to because I know these guys will move. They're very sweet, though. Suddenly, they're all over the place. So Bryan was absolutely correct. I thought maybe we'd missed them coming out of the dens, and he said, no, he didn't think they'd got up yet, and he was right. They've only got up as it started to get quite hot. A tiny little baby you're looking at there. This, you say, Elaine, this makes you think of a game that is played in Michigan called Whack-A-Mole, where a number of children will spread out amongst the holes where the moles come out, and your job is to whack the mole on the head as it sticks its head out. Elaine, I don't think we'll be going along the same route as that today, especially given the fact that I'm trying desperately to make them come out and confide with my GoPro camera and not run away in abject terror at the thought of being bopped upon the head as they stick their heads out. There are lots of babies here. This might be a good one. It's a pity I don't have another GoPro. Hang on a second. Gen B, you've heard that mongoose have got the fastest reflexes of any animal, and you want to know if that is true. No, I would say it is not true. I would say a lot of the bird species have got faster reflexes than these. I think within the mammals, they've probably got a pretty good idea, a pretty good sense of reflex, but I don't think that you'll find that they are as fast as many of the birds. Now, I'm going to cheat here, everyone. I have another camera, but it's not a GoPro. But I'm going to put it here anyway, on a little tripod given to me very kindly by Willem Dorenbrach. It was a tripod made, well, in the cheapest fashion possible. This might be quite good, actually. Okay, they are going to move as I get out of the car. I'm just going to lean over, kind of, and pop the thing onto the ground here. I'll use a bit of zoom. I obviously can't open the door now. Just keep digging, little fellow. Has he caught something there, Bryan? Don't move. Okay, they are going to move as I get out of the car. I'm just going to lean over, kind of, and pop the thing onto the ground here. I'll use a bit of zoom. I obviously can't open the door now. Just keep digging, little fellow. Has he caught something there, Bryan? Don't move.
Try put your camera a bit closer.
But do you not think that they're going to panic like the others did?
Yeah, it'll come out again.
All right. I'll try and get a decent focal range. There we go. All right, let's see what happens there, everyone. I suspect with that camera that everything is going to be out of focus because you kind of got to tell it what to focus on. I suspect, like many things in life, you can probably get quite good at doing this, but the first time round, well, if unless you're talented like Scott, of course, in which case it would be easy, but for most of us, take a bit of time to learn to do it. No elephants here, but there have been elephants here. I can see tracks of them going across the road here. No, there's nothing here now.
Surprisingly. You've come at a good time because we've just seen a bird, Jeandre. It's just above. There we go. Black-headed oriole. And wasn't that a perfect twist of fate? You lost signal on James's vehicle. Oh, listen. They're calling. What a beautiful call. Oh, little poop. And off it goes. You sang for us, you pooped for us, and then you flew away for us. After initially perching itself on the perfect little branch, we don't get to see those birds very often. So that was a bonus. And even though you joined us temporarily, you're going straight back to James.
They're two. This is amazing, people. I know you heard me talking there as we came across, but it's because there are some fascinating things going on here. That is a leopard tortoise in the water. In fact, it's the same leopard tortoise that I found the other day. The big one is the same leopard tortoise I found the other day, not too far from here, and I lay on the ground next to him. He's a huge fellow, and I know it's the same one because his shell, you can see, is lost the kind of outer covering there. I suspect he was in a fire at some stage, or he's just really old. And they're not aquatic at all. He's drinking. He's having a swim and having a drink like you might on a hot day, and he's sharing this pond with some other chelonids. As you saw there, a terrapin falling off the high board. I think he looked like he purposely walked around to the highest point and then jumped into the water. And there are lots of them in this little puddle, none of them anything like his size. There we go. And I think Nikki says she can make a quick slow-mo of that terrapin diving off the high board. Nicola, absolutely. Let's have a look at that. Probably a 4 out of 10. So really a poorly executed dive there. We know that to do an effective dive, you want to make as small a splash as possible. That thing landing flat on its back was unable to make anything but a large splash. But I just think it's really funny it's kind of, the morning is heating up quite a lot to find this tortoise walking in here for his swim, and then the terrapin seemingly walking around to the highest point and then leaping in off the high board. I think is wonderful. I'd write a whole children's story about it. And Bryan, just to the left, that little one looks like it's going to come out again. You see it there? Yeah, right there. Are you at full stretch? Anyway, so two species in there. One, obviously, the leopard tortoise, our most obvious and I think magnificent chelonid or tortoise-like species. And then the marsh terrapin, lots of them come out of the mud where they've been estivating and they're enjoying the warmth of that muddy water. That is so cool. Luke the Duke and Kimber, you reckon that terrapin needed to get a 9 out of 10 for that, I think, rather pathetic effort to dive. Well, I mean, I'm no expert when it comes to Olympic diving, so maybe you're correct. Let's head across to Scott. He's got some buffalo.
Well, we've just popped across to Arathusa, and it didn't take us long to stumble upon this breeding herd of buffalo. Settle down, you two. Why are you two ladies having a squabble?
The one, look, there's a tiny little calf following it. Maybe that's why.
Maybe that mommy was being protective over that little new addition to the herd. Cute. Let's keep going. I feel like this is a very large herd, and I think they're spread out across both sides of the road here. Let's push a little bit deeper into the middle of them and see what happens. A little bit nervous, it appears. Maybe they had a rough night out, being tormented by lions. Although I'd be surprised if that was the case, because I don't think there are any lions across here, but we often do get surprised by the movements and locations of the resident prides here. Oh no, settle down, guys. You're going to make our lives very difficult if you keep running away. I promise you, we have not seen a lion for days. We don't know where any predators are. You do not need to worry about us. They don't seem convinced, do they? They certainly don't seem convinced. Let's creep forward a bit more. Oh no, here's some popping into a bit of a view. Sure. This is a wonderful question that's just come through from Kyle in Florida. It's a hypothetical question, and it goes like this. If all of the herbivores in South Africa were to instantaneously and miraculously turn into carnivores, who do I think would be the apex predators? Well, a herd of Cape buffalo like this would be quite a tough animal to deal with because of their numbers as well as their strength. There are just so many of them in these large herds, up to thousands, that they would be very formidable. Having said that, though, elephants would also be pretty hardcore. They could just impale things on their tusks, catch things with their trunk. Ugh. Carnivorous elephants. Viams often spoke of a carnivorous herd of elephants, interestingly enough, one of the cameramen. A terrifying beast that would be. So yeah, I think Cape buffalo and elephant would be two probably of the most formidable because of their size and also because of their social structure. They can live in very large groups. So it would be those two for me. What do you think, Kyle? What are your thoughts as to who would be the top of the food chain? It's hard to give you an idea of how many buffalo are here, but they are littered on both sides of the road. It's just very thick. And because of their nervous nature this morning, look at how this female's coming to investigate us here. The one on the right really gave us a bit of a look, and now she's already heading off. Let's see if she turns around and gives us an over the shoulder. Sadly, there's a bush in the way. Hello, Volma. You would like to know what is my favorite spot here on Djuma with regards to sitting and waiting and watching animals. Probably Buffelshoek Waterhole. There, I'm guessing I've spent more time stationary than any other portion of Djuma. And there was a time, just before it dried up, that we were getting some great action there over kind of October, November, December. So yeah, I think Buffelshoek Waterhole. There's often always good bird life there, and it just seems to be one of our most productive waterholes. So probably there. You can see that lady was also giving us an evil stare, as is this one. I promise you guys, there are no lions here. At ease. Enjoy what little grass there is to chew on here. Or fresh green grass, at least, after those rains. Hello, Shannon in Ohio. You would like to know what am I going to miss the most, or do I think I even know what I'm going to miss the most when I leave SafariLIVE? It's a tricky question. I'm guessing probably the crew. The crew that we have here is remarkable. Jeandre just clutched his heart and blew me a kiss. The crew we have here is really one of a kind. We all get along very well and have a great time here at work. It's kind of a holiday place that we work at, which is a lot of fun. Of course, the experience, 3, 2, 1, you're live, is something that's not going to happen again anytime in the near future. So just that radio call and that sense of knowing that there are thousands of people on the vehicle at any given moment is something that I'm not going to be able to recreate anywhere. And even though I'm really looking forward to the adventures that lie ahead, I'm not going to have all of you guys along with to share those memories with. So that's going to be something that's going to take a lot of getting used to. Yeah, so I guess the people, really. The people involved in this experience, you and the crew that have become like family to Nikki and myself, are going to be what I miss the most, I think. But let's wait and see, because only time will tell. And I'll be sure to keep you guys updated on where we're going, how we're feeling, what we're doing. Meredith, you've mentioned that you'd like your ringtone to be, "Isn't this awesome?" And I'm sure there's more than enough archives of that being said. You could have it in all different tones, depending on how exactly you would like to hear it. Lots of youngsters in this herd. It'd be nice to know how many are actually moving through this area. It's impossible to tell due to the thickness of the vegetation, but certainly a sizey herd. I'd say at least 100 members, possibly well more than that. Just want to poke forward. There is an open clearing just up ahead, and I want to see if we can't get some better views of the back end of the herd that may still be in that clearing. Morning, Lynn. You would like to know if the female Cape buffalo are as cantankerous and aggressive as the males. And no, usually not, so they're not going to be as much of a threat to us as humans as the males. And interestingly, these large herds you can actually approach on foot, and they'll actually even approach you. Even if they get an initial fright, they will often recover and then come up to investigate exactly what you are. So they can be quite inquisitive and not nearly as dangerous as the old bulls that lurk on their own or in small kind of groups of retirees. Hello, Penny in Indiana. You're noticing the barren soils, and it's kind of light, creamy color. You're expecting richer, darker soils, especially considering there's a lot of animals depositing their manure here. I guess it's the fact that we've had two very dry seasons on top of one another, this being a chronic drought, whereas the one before just being, you know, a drier summer than normal. And it depends on where you are in the Sabi Sands. The soil substrate does drastically change depending on where exactly you are. Some of the soils are dark black in coloration, not necessarily more nutritious. They're called black cotton soil, that very black soil that you do get in the various areas of the reserve, but it's usually not where the roads have been built, because that black cotton soil acts like a sponge. And you don't want to have roads going through any of that soil, because when it does rain, it becomes very, very soft and vehicles will just sink into it. But yes, I mean, I hear you. I guess the Sabi Sands, it does have fairly nutritious soil. The surrounding areas have great soils and great climate for farming citrus, but not necessarily the most nutritious soil in Africa. I think there are areas where you find far more nutritious soils and abundant growth than the Sabi Sands. So a lot depends on the geology more so than the animals that move through that area.
There was a mongoose on top of the den where I put my GoPro, and I was just getting excited when Bryan said, "Oh, but James, you should have put it closer than that. It's just going to look like we're filming it with a normal camera." And I had to admit that he had a very good point. Feeling very depressed and dejected by my mongoose filming efforts today. Safari, a very valid point. In fact, one that I didn't think of, and one that I shall certainly consider the next time. Why didn't we get the camera guys to set up the camera?
I was busy.
You're busy filming me, I suppose, but probably because of my fairly large ego, I thought, well, I'll be able to do it. It must be very easy. I mean, how difficult can it be? Apparently very. Okay. Bryan, with your superb camera skills, do you think I might trouble you to film that purple roller over there? There we go. A purple roller. The least common of the 3 roller species that we get here, although I suppose it might be possible to get an even rarer one called a racket-tailed roller. So we get the purple, the European, and the lilac-breasted. And they always sit kind of out in the open like that, and that's half for advertising territory and half because they can see something to catch on the ground and then fly up to another perch. So there are lots of birds that will do that, like a drongo, for example, but a lot of them will return to the original perch. Sometimes those ones will too, but normally what they'll do is they sit in that obvious position, they look for, say, a grasshopper. Lots of grasshoppers get eaten by those birds. They'll fly down, grab a grasshopper, and then fly up to a perch close to where they've caught it, and then fly back to another high perch and sit and wait. And that is very distinct behavior from, say, well, like a drongo, basically, which doesn't catch insects off the ground. It will do both, but it also hawks insects. So it'll take them in the air and then go and sit back. You seldom find a roller taking an insect in the air. There was a scimitar that just flew overhead. They've flown away down towards where my mongoose troop is currently eating my GoPro camera. Ah, I hope. Hello, Bryan Jeandre. You want to know how many species of starling we get here, and you asked this on Twitter. Thank you for your tweet. Bryan, we get the greater blue-eared glossy starling, the Cape glossy starling, the Burchell's glossy starling. So those are the three iridescent blue and purple species that we starling. Purple violet-backed starling, and then the other one, which is the least common, is the nomadic wattled starling. So those are the 5 species of starling that we get in this area. It's possible every so often maybe that a red-winged starling might come through the area. It's also possible that we might get a lesser blue-eared starling if it was really off course from the north of the park. And those are the... I don't think there would be any others that would come through here, no. So 5, potentially, but highly unlikely 7. Quite a few starling species. It was interesting, the other day I was reading about woodpeckers, and I thought we had quite a lot of woodpeckers here, and apparently we don't. The book that I was reading said that compared with the rest of the world, South Africa is fairly poorly represented by woodpeckers. We've got only 4 in this particular area. But I know there was a little discussion earlier, I think, about a woodpecker-like bird, which probably comes from the same family, the pickidae. And they get a flicker bird or something like that, they get much, much larger in other parts of the world. Now, this was what I thought was the nest of the bush babies. I was then told afterwards, no, it wasn't that one, actually. Well, it could be a bush baby nest, so it's worth checking. And then the actual bush baby nest, I think, is just up here. Now, Nicola, you've been to the bush baby nest, so when we get past there, I expect you to tell me to stop. Should be on the right-hand side. Should be on the right-hand side here somewhere, close by the road. Now, the bush baby is a little primate, and they nest during the day and come out at night, and they nest in little tree holes. Apparently, Scott did go off the road a little. Could have been in that tree, but that's not a cluster leaf, that's a ziziphus. I think I see the tree. He said it was a cluster leaf. Here is a cluster leaf. This tree, perhaps?
Okay, what about that one? That one there.
Which one?
Behind there.
Bryan reckons one behind here, maybe. Oh, yes, Bryan. In that hole there.
Yeah. Oh,
There's a hole there. Let me go back a bit. There, you can see that dark bit in there's the hole.
only reason I say that is because I can see tracks going off the road here.
And we can see vehicle tracks going off the road. Okay, good. So we know which one it is. This is where we will return this evening in order to see if the bush babies come out of there. Good. Thank you, Brian. Well done. Good job. I failed to find that last night, everyone. Oops. That was for Wendy. Wendy, you wanted to see the nest again. I'm not sure if you're with us this morning. But this evening, someone will be able to take you there. Right, I think it's time to go and retrieve my various media devices. Now, Maurice, we had a lovely long discussion about jackals yesterday, and you want to know if we get side-striped jackals here. Yes, we do from time to time, Maurice. You say you heard one calling on the Djuma Dam cam. You could well have heard one calling. We do get them. They're not common. In fact, they're very uncommon, but they are found from time to time. And then the other day, we had an amazing sighting of wild dogs and hyenas having a very large and loud spat over some meat. And a blackback jackal, which I haven't seen in this area. I think I've seen one blackback jackal in the Sabi Sands in my entire time here. Came trotting in from who knows where, stole a whole lot of the kill, seemingly unnoticed. The dogs and the hyenas didn't react to him at all, and then they just he moved off. It was an amazing sighting to have, and I got really excited to see a blackback jackal. I think they're marvelous creatures. Not so much marvelous if you happen to be a sheep farmer in the Karoo, but certainly wonderful entertainment if you're in a wildlife area like this. Here we go. Just getting some info on the mongoose here. So Kimber and Chris Rogue, you've looked up the origins or etymology of the word mongoose, and apparently it is a Marathi word. Now, I don't know where Marathi is spoken or what it is. It sounds like it could be that I wasn't too incorrect about the Central Asian origin. Goa in India. Thank you, Brian. You may high-five me for that. Thank you very much. And it comes from the word mongoose, and it was changed in 1698 to mongoose. This is wonderful information. And the plural, as we all know, is mongooses, and seldom mongoose. I just tend to use the term mongoose for the plural. My father always used to say mongai, which when I was a small child I thought very funny indeed. Thank you very much, Chris Rogue, and it's Kimber. Kimber, that's right. Chris Rogue and Kimber, thank you both very much. Marathi word, mongoose, changed in 1698 to mongoose. Let's go back across to Scott. He's at the Arathusa Waterhole, and there are some drinking animals there.
Well, here we have a medium male impala and a large male impala, both on high alert, having a snooze. Oh, there's an oxpecker jumping along one. Oh, you'll notice how they're trying not to go too deep into that mud. There is the risk of animals getting stuck in the mud as they try and reach the receding water lines. But at least these two look like they're safely managing to quench their thirst. And I'm sure the Arathusa Waterhole, which is where we are now, is going to be a hive of activity on a hot day like this, which will be wonderful for the guests that have returned from their safaris and can then sit up on their little verandas of their rooms or at the main kind of lodge area that overlooks this large waterhole. Jeandre was shocked when he saw how empty it was. He hasn't seen this waterhole since
about 4 months ago, Jeandre, I think, when it would have been a lot more full.
2.5.
2.5 months ago. So it's desperate times out here, and the level of these water holes is testament to that. Lev in Brooklyn, you are interested to know my thoughts on whether or not animals are ticklish, and the sequence of events that have led you to wonder about this is the way the oxpecker that you can see jumping around these Impala, you know, it investigates some fairly sensitive parts of various animals' anatomies under their... Oh, look at you go. Sure. Now the next one. Maybe it's to get the mud out from between their hooves. Well, it was awesome to see them running around like that. I wonder if they are ticklish. I guess they could be. Whether it's the fact that they don't like that intruding feeling of, you know, the oxpeckers digging around their ears and their eyes. So whether it's the intrusion or whether it does give them a little bit of a shiver, I'm not too sure. I think it certainly could be. It's the same as, I guess, it feels, you see, you get ticklish and then you get cold shivers, and they're two different things. Now, I know that I can be ticklish, but I know that sensation of having 3 flies doing the moonwalk on your face simultaneously. It's not that it makes me ticklish. It's another sensation. It gives me the shivers or the chills. So it may be that the buffalo and the other antelope aren't necessarily ticklish, but they do have this reaction to being crawled upon or hopped upon. I don't know if that made any sense, but like I said, it's not that I'm laughing when the flies are walking around our face, but it certainly does short-circuit my nervous system. There have been some wonderful hypothetical questions this morning. Hello, Shyami. I'm told that the YouTube audience is on the topic of food at the moment, and you must be discussing one of South Africans' favorite snacks, biltong. And Shy one would like to know if it is basically beef jerky. Yes, it's jerky, not beef jerky, because you get any manner of biltong, just like you can have any manner of jerky. You can have beef jerky, you can have deer jerky, just like we can have beef biltong, Impala biltong, chicken biltong, not too sure about that. Fish biltong, terrible. Oh, bacon biltong, that's amazing. Smoked, tasty bacon biltong. There's a butcher in Hoedspruit, the town nearby us, and they make really good biltong, but their bacon biltong is one of my favorites. Oh, it's dangerous. So yes, you get all manner of biltong. You also get a sausage form thereof, where essentially the same ingredients that go into boerewors, which translates to farmer sausage, which is, again, it could be ground up venison, wild game, or ground up beef, often with fat added to that ground up beef, just like you would have in most regular sausages. They'll add fat to the mince. Often sheep fat is the one that's chosen, and that can be dried. and that's called dwarf. So not boerewors, but dwarf, which means dry sausage, as opposed to farmer sausage. And that is just another variation of biltong, I guess. That's also tasty. It's quite nice because you don't need to slice it. It's just ready to go. And again, you get many different flavors and ingredients that you can add into any sausage tube. Now my mouth is watering. Whew. And I'm going to leave all of you with your mouths watering as well. I have heard over the radio waves that the Arathusa guests are going to be spoilt with a bush breakfast this morning on the Arathusa airstrip, which is one of the locations for their bush breakfasts. And we'll take you there for a quick glimpse of what it looks like from a distance and what those guests are in a treat for. Some of you will remember not too long ago we caught the chef, Dave. He had forgotten something and we saw him racing around. He actually overtook us, racing back to the camp. He had forgotten glasses, so I hope he hasn't forgotten anything today. Anyway, we're going to send you back to James now and we'll call you back across when we have a view of the bush breakfast, which is not too far away from us.
Now, you might be interested to know, oh, there it is. There is a red-backed shrike in the middle of that bush. It's an extremely exciting sighting. This, of course, really astonishing. It's that kind of blobby thing in the middle of the greenery there. That is a female red-backed shrike. Obviously, what else could it be? Now, she was sitting out right in the open as we came across to you, but unfortunately, you can't really see her now. Oh, well, c'est la vie, etc., etc. There's the male. No, don't go back inside. It came right out into the open again. Heinous little bird. It knows we're watching it, you see. So it's doing what it does best, which is hide. There. It's coming out into the top. There we are. Still not exactly coming out into a confidingly obvious position. But they too, like the swallows, will be thinking about the long journey home. They don't breed here either, the red-backed shrike. As far as I'm aware, they breed in Britain. And I'd love for one of our British viewers perhaps to tell me, I believe that in Britain the red-backed shrike is just known as the shrike, because I don't think you get many different species of shrike there. Anyway, this one is not a particularly friendly one. Drive around the corner here. They look so different from the males. The males have got that obvious red back. There he is, she is. And a sort of bandit's mask over the eye. And you can see the female does not have that. There she is. She's just got a little bit of a mottled chest. She's got a black eye, of course, and a slightly red back. She's still got the red back. She and her husband will be heading north for their summer in Europe later on. That's a really nice sighting. Good, well done, Bryan. It might be sighting of the day. I have retrieved my media devices from the mongoose dens. There were no mongoose there at the time. I suspect quite strongly that we're going to be slightly disappointed with the results, but I'm going to keep trying. And as Bryan suggested, the little tripod that I had for the other camera would have been much better suited to the GoPro. Good point. And, of course, by Jeandre. 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 And, of course, Good luck with that one, Scott. See you later.
Well, welcome to the Arathusa Bush Breakfast. Look at how beautiful that scene is. Out in the African wilderness. No. Yeah, we're going to be having a tea party up in the air traffic control tower up there a little bit later with Gracie and all of you as well. There's some of the Arathusa staff. Option! They're all waiting for the guests. You can hear they're bright and cheery this morning. And they've done a great job setting up a beautiful, beautiful breakfast spot. Good, we will start making our way back towards camp now. Thank you so much for all of your involvement in the safari. Well done to Nikki for directing the show and to Jeandre for documenting it with the camera. We will see you all on the Sunset Safari, where hopefully we will find the Nkuhuma Pride who are somewhere on Arathusa.